A tsunami wave of
tsunami wave of salmon. When they reach the 6 foot high, then they have to jump up, and then that's where you get the iconic images.
They're playing with their fish. They're being very picky about their fish. You'll see a lot of bears just grab one, take the part he wants, throw it back. Or he'll grab one and decide it wasn't worth it and throw it back before he even eats it. And they also say to make sure that you're talking to the bears so that they know that you're there. But these are bears that are born and raised around humans. Not domesticated by any means, but they are aware of humans and they do understand them.
And the ranger let us know that the salmon run today was anywhere from 908 measured over 1,200 per minute.
We got there in the morning. It was an amazing time in the falls. You know, no one is on top of the falls, but there was a bunch of bears around.
Yeah, definitely highly advisable to generate as much time as you can at the park. If you can do 4 hours, great. 5 hours, better. 6, better. More hours, the better.
If you can save up for any park in Alaska, and that's all you can do this one. We're Jay and Bea, and at the beginning of 2021, we hit the road permanently. We traded our city apartment for a constant stream of Airbnbs, new states, and places. And we wouldn't have it any other way. Come along with us as we explore all the U.S. and beyond has to offer. And join us as we continue
Living on the way.
Hello there, and welcome back to Living on the Way. And for the past almost 5 years, we've been living full-time on the road, chasing experiences across the country, from coastlines to deserts, cities to the most remote wilderness. We've seen a lot, but this stop was truly unforgettable.
Today, we're taking you with us to Katmai National Park in Alaska, specifically Brook Falls, where giant bears gather to fish for salmon and one of the most iconic wildlife spectacles on Earth. I'm Jay.
And I'm Bea. And this adventure was wild, raw, and one of the most memorable places we've ever visited.
Yeah, we flew into King Salmon yesterday on Alaskan Air. And then this morning, we hopped on flight with Katmai Air. We've been spending last night and tonight at a nice little cozy cabin at Sockeye Cabins.
And it's a very small town. They have a bar and restaurant, a tiny airport, and a grocery store.
Yeah, and a visitor center with some good helpful info for those visiting for the first time like ourselves.
We arrived in Katmai, specifically at Brook's Camp, which is I think it's the only developed spot in Katmai. And it's also most recognizable. If you know about Katmai, you know about Brook Falls usually. So it's famous for salmon leaping. And specifically during the salmon runs, they leap up a 6-foot waterfall, and it creates epic bear viewing scenes as they have an abundance of salmon to fatten them up for the next winter.
Oh, and this is where you can see just millions of salmon.
A tsunami wave of
salmon. When they reach the 6 foot high, then they have to jump up, and then that's where you get the iconic images.
Right. And I have seen many YouTube videos of just multiple bears standing on the falls, just grabbing a fish out of the air. But
interesting for this year, July 2025, instead of the bears all crowding the falls when the salmon run, the salmon are actually so abundant this year that the bears don't all have to come to the falls area, and they're spreading out and still getting their fill. So we noticed some on the way in, walk in, and of course we still saw bears on the falls, but there definitely saw a good 20 plus bears not even on the falls, just out there eating fish in and around the waterways.
So some of those iconic scenes you have of 4 or 5 bears, what that is the competition for salmon is a little bit higher. So they're all in one place fighting with each other for that salmon. And this year, like Jay mentioned, with the tsunami wave of salmon, there is no competition, basically. They're out there playing. And as someone who researched heavily about the bear cams that you see on YouTube, I think it's explore.org. So you can watch and you see them just playing. We knew going into it that it wasn't going to be 5, 6 bears on the falls. They're all there. How many bears do you think we saw?
Oh, at least 30 unique ones, maybe many more than that. At least 20 of them out away from the falls, but in the falls, even with being quote unquote, maybe not as busy it could be, most of the time around the falls had at least 3 to 8, 9 bears at a time. So there's still lots of bears around.
They're just more relaxed and happy, right? They're playing with their fish. They're being very picky about their fish. You'll see a lot of bears just grab one, take the part he wants, throw it back. Or he'll grab one and decide it wasn't worth it and throw it back before he even eats it. So very relaxed.
Yeah, they're very picky. They eat the brains They eat the skin and they'll eat the eggs. So they're just going for the like high calorie aspects of the salmon.
There's no dramatic catch-offs at the waterfall, but plenty of natural behavior from the bears and still very beautiful sightings. Before we went, I was a little concerned because I want that epic waterfall view, but it didn't matter. It was still mama with her babies out playing. Because it's so relaxed, she can bring them to the falls. That doesn't always happen because it's so competitive and all the males, big males are there. What was one of your most memorable moments, like bear moments? And that's hard. That's hard. So maybe
Yeah, so there's many on the list. But the first one that jumps to mind is as we were walking back to the falls area. It's about a 1.3-mile walk from the lodge visitor center area out to the actual viewing platforms. And one of the times that we were walking out there, actually every time we walk out there, we saw bears. One of the times there was literally 5 bears running up the path at us, just trotting along. I mean, it's incredible. You get as far away from the path as you can, but you just see these bears just moving faster than we can move right on by you. It's crazy to watch.
And one of the things that everyone has to do before they go out is go to bear school. And one of the things she did mention, and she said specifically this year, you'll be walking and you'll just hear barreling bears coming in because they're just running and playing. And we did witness that. And they also say to make sure that you're talking to the bears so that they know that you're there. But these are bears that are born and raised around humans. Not domesticated by any means, but they are aware of humans and they do understand them. But you just have to give them their space.
Yeah, their bellies are full of salmon, but you don't
Right.
want to startle them, surprise them.
This leads us into some interesting facts about Katmai National Park. And it's actually, I believe she said today, the ranger said that it's the largest concentration of these particular types of bears in the world. I read somewhere it was like 2,200 or more bears concentrated in this area. So that does lend to many interactions with the bears.
It does. And that's the mind blowing part. Everyone says it, but it still blows your mind when you see it. We loved every second of it. And they're all there for very good reason. It's good habitat, but then also the food supply, specifically the salmon, is abundant plus. For example, while you're hanging out at the falls, some of the park staff and the rangers do hand counts of how many salmon roughly are jumping up at the falls so they can get an idea. And the ranger let us know that the salmon run today was anywhere from 900 and they measured over 1,200 per minute.
Jumping.
Right.
And I think we read that it was on average like 400 a minute. Is that what we saw?
Yeah, that was the average this time of year. But of course, with our
Tsunami.
tsunami, I mean, there was
salmon.
salmon on salmon, and that was just made for, a unique but special experience for ourselves.
And bear viewing traditionally peaks in July. So we're here in mid-July and it goes through September. So this is the heart of it. And every year the conditions vary. So we saw a lot of salmon and much more relaxed bears. And so let's talk a little bit about how you do Brook Falls. I think we mentioned that we took Katmai Air. So there's one water taxi and many airlines that do the float planes. There's no runway or anything like that. You land in the water.
Once you get there, you see bears right away. We landed. There's bears on the beach. Yeah. Once you're able to safely miss the bears, get off, disembark, and to go through bear training.
Bear school.
Bear school. Very important because there is so many bears. The bears will be as close to you, closer than you want. So you have to learn how to get out of the way, keep food out in certain locations. So after you go through bear school, then you walk on out that 1.3 mile out to the 2 platforms. The upper one, it's right by the falls, and the lower one,
Riffles.
And then from both, of course, you can see the bears.
Right. And so Riffles platform has no waiting list. You can stay there as long as you want. First come, first serve. The Falls platform, obviously, when it's high season, there is a waiting list. So it's like a restaurant. She takes your name. And they also put a little note of what you look like so they can go find you. And then you wait.
We waited 5 minutes the first time, and you can spend a half hour out there on the Upper Falls platform. Wait 5 minutes the first time. And the next 2 times, we did have to wait about an hour 15 because it was prime time. But after about 2 o'clock, a lot of the masses left and went back to a very short to no wait for the rest of the afternoon.
So we took the 8 o'clock plane. So we were there by 8:20, 8:30. Went through bear school. We were actually out at the platform by 9:05. And so that's why it was only 5 minutes. And a majority of the people are coming from Anchorage for day trips or things like that. So they won't get there till 9 o'clock. So that's why we got lucky with that. But yeah, between the hours of 10 and 2, it started to tail off, and then 3, we never had to wait after that. And this is high season.
We're no experts for sure, but certainly the midday period is much busier than the morning and the evenings. And of course, if you're lucky enough to win the lottery and get a reservation, which is possible to stay in the park,
right? They
both
have
camping and the cabins there, Of course, you can watch them even outside of the times of when we were there.
Right. They close the platform to people at 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. So if you're staying there, it stays late here in the summer. So you can go out at all hours. That's awesome. We obviously did not plan this far enough in advance, which is usually a year or more to get that lodging.
But of course, do what we did and stay over in King Salmon, jump over there early in the mornings.
Yeah, and you do beat the crowd, and you get to stay later because a lot of these day trips are leaving, obviously, close to I think they probably leave between 3 and 5. We took the 6 o'clock flight, so that meant we could stay out there all the way till 5:30.
All in all, very enjoyable.
When we got there in the morning, it was an amazing time in the falls. No one is on top of the falls, but there was a bunch of bears around. And then we came back after waiting an hour after our first snack, around 10 something. I think it was 11. I think it was 11 o'clock when we got out on the platform. And there were 2 bears there, and they all left while we were there. There was no bears on the upper part of the falls. Way, way down in the distance, there were bears. And so it fluctuates. It depends on the time of day. And then we came back, and more bears are congregating. We got lucky. We saw one on the falls catching fish. So it was very varied experiences at the falls. So I'm very glad we got every opportunity to get out on that deck, the falls.
Yeah, definitely highly advisable to generate as much time as you can at the park. If you can do 4 hours, great. 5 hours, better. 6, better. More hours, the better. Because you're going to have unique experiences. It just depends on the bear behavior. They could be out there at 8 o'clock. They could be out there 9, 10, 11, 12. You don't know. I mean, there always is probably 1 or 2 around. But if you want lots, you just have to kind of get lucky. What's a favorite bear that you saw today?
I enjoyed the mamas and the babies, but I love to watch the biggest bear we saw today, at least in the water. And he just sits there. He doesn't have to hunt the fish. He doesn't have to go jumping. They come to him, and you don't even notice him half the time eating food. He was there for almost the entire time. So he did leave once. So that second time we went out to the platform, when I said they all left, this big boy grabbed himself a fish, a big old salmon, walked out and disappeared for a while. Must have been taking a nap. So he took himself a to-go snack. And then he was back again, same spot. Because he's like, why is everyone trying so hard? You just sit here and they come to you.
Yeah, a very smart bear. Very big bear for a reason. I will say, you kind of cheer for the salmon, though. I mean, the salmon, they're doing all this to go upriver to spawn back from where they were born. That's their drive to go all the way back. And you do find yourself rooting for the salmon. You see a lot of them get killed by the bears, and you see tens of thousands of them just trying to make that falls. And when one makes it and another makes it, occasionally, a very small percentage of them do. You're like, yeah. Or even when the bear go to bite them and then they dodge and jump out of the way at the last second, you do kind of root for the salmon a little bit.
Yeah, and I think this year it was easier not to notice them because there were so many. You're like, oh, that's fine. It's also interesting because the bears tend to swat at the salmon. You'll see some with scars and things on them, but they make it as long as it didn't cut deep into their flesh. They're still jumping at the falls. They're still trying to make it.
They're trying to complete their life cycle.
Mm-hmm. But it's interesting also with that life cycle, how much, it's not just the bears that benefit from the salmon. So the bears, we said, there's so many, they just leave behind what they don't want. So you find things like ducks. We saw a mama duck and 6, 7 babies going through the salmon on the side, the salmon graveyard, if you will, picking up the pieces that were left. We also saw a squirrel. I wish I had gotten a video of it, scampering off with a bright pink, chunk of salmon to take back to his tree. But it was just the cycle of life that these salmon runs sustain is very evident at Brook Falls.
Yeah, it's very remarkable to watch nature at work.
I think it left us. If we hadn't loved Alaska before, we definitely loved Alaska. This was a great thing to end on. So if you're thinking of coming to Katmai, and you're thinking, this is a national park I want to cross off, but it seems maybe hard to get to. It does cost money. If you can save up for any park in Alaska, and that's all you can do this one.
Absolutely.
Do it.
Alaska is amazing. Last frontier, well-earned nickname. If you're going to pick one place to make sure you visit, make it Katmai and make it Brook Falls. Your mind will be blown by the nature that you're going to be able to see.
Yeah, and we talked about the fact that we stayed till the 6 o'clock flight, and everyone was leaving at 2 and 3 and how that was an amazing experience. Doesn't matter. If that's all you can do, if you can just get here at 9 and have to leave at 2, does not matter. You'll get to that platform at least once. And it takes patience. And I saw some people getting frustrated, getting out to that platform and not realizing that if you sit there for 30 minutes, you're going to get a spot. People are fluctuating. You have to be patient. And if that's your one time, do it. Just do it. Even if I could only have done the platform once.
It's worth it.
Hope you enjoyed this recap of Katmai, specifically Brook Falls. I know for a fact that if you're watching this via video, you're going to have very little of us and a lot of the bears. So if that's something you're interested in, look us up on YouTube on Living on the Way. So as we always like to say, we do enjoy having you along on our journey, and we would love to hear if you've been to Brook Falls or if you've had these epic wildlife experiences. Definitely leave us a comment and join our journey by following or subscribing to our podcast wherever you get podcasts. And until next time, we will be
Living on the Way.